So I want to talk today about a method of composting that I'm really excited about. I just learned about it. It is called Bokashi, and it is a method of essentially fermenting your food scraps, organic food waste. And unlike traditional composting where the composting happens aerobically with oxygen outside or in some sort of bin where air is incorporated, this method of composting happens anaerobically. So you're preventing air from entering into the compost, and you're using effective microorganisms to ferment the food waste and really make those nutrients in the food waste available to the microbes in the soil and worms and things like that. So this method of composting is really excellent if you're living in a small space. If you're in an apartment, you can literally have this bucket in the kitchen and it's not going to smell. It might have a sort of pleasant like apple cider vinegar smell, but it's not going to be just rotting food waste in your kitchen. So I'm really excited to try this, and it's going to be my first time. What's exciting about it too is you can do it really cheaply. You can buy Bokashi bins that are pre-made. Some of them are like $40, $50, or you can just make a Bokashi bin yourself really easily, which is what I'm going to be doing now. So what you need are two 5-gallon buckets that snuggle together nicely. And you can get these cheaply at a hardware store, or you can get them used super cheap. A lot of people just give them away for free because they have a lot and they don't need them. So I've got two here. I actually have 4 because it's kind of nice to have 2 bin setups so that you can have one bin that is fermenting, and then you can be adding food scraps to your other bin while one is fermenting. And this is going to be the inner bucket. So I'm going to drill holes into this bucket so that when I put the food scraps in it, the liquid will start to drain through this inner bucket into the bottom bucket. So I've got my drill. I already put this drill bit on, and pretty straightforward. Just gonna drill some holes. I'm gonna avoid the most center point, just since that's sort of structural to this bucket, and I'm gonna avoid going too far close to the edge. I'm really not being overly precious about where my holes are. If they're not in a perfect circle, it really doesn't matter. You just want to make sure there's some good drainage. And these little plastic bits that are here, I just want to be mindful that I brush those off and dispose of them properly so that they're not going somewhere that they shouldn't go. Well, this bucket looks like now. And now we're going to take what will be our outer bucket, and we're going to drill a hole about 1 inch from the bottom. So I'm going to pop it like right there. To do this, I'm going to swap out this drill bit for a 1/2 inch spade drill bit. Okay. So now I'm going to attach a spigot. This one is a little bit of a heavier duty one, but really anything that you have available to you will work. Anything with a the ability to close and open from the outside is preferred. Okay, so I've just finished screwing in my back piece into the bucket, which will connect to my spigot. And honestly, that was the hardest part, just because the hole that I drilled was slightly smaller than the piece, so I really had to kind of muscle it through. But this is good in the long run because you want to keep your Bokashi bucket as airtight as possible so that it is composting anaerobically. So I can say for certain that there is no chance of leakage and no chance of air getting through this way. So now I can simply screw on my spigot on the front here. Voila! And now my interior bucket will just plop in the inside here. Now some people do use Bokashi buckets where instead of having a spigot on the bottom of their outer bucket, they just take their inner bucket out and then pour the liquid that will drain out from their outer bucket. This is just sort of a less involved way to do the same thing. It's a little bit more work up front for a little bit more reward later. Totally up to you how you want to do that. I'm probably planning on putting just a thin layer of tape on the inside of my outer bucket so that when I put my interior bucket in, it'll be a little bit tighter and there will really be no chance of air getting in. And then of course we've got the snap-on lid, which snaps on really, really nice and tightly. And that's my Bokashi bucket. So I'm gonna do the same thing with another one just so that I have two. Oh, in another video I'll show how they work with your food scraps. Like I said before, you can compost meat and bones and dairy using this method and the effect of microorganisms. Bye!